Hello, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're joining from, and welcome to our webinar on latest release wave updates from project operations. I am Sanket Nakrekar, your moderator for today, and today we are honored to have Mr. Kuldeep Gupta, CEO of proMX India, Microsoft Business Applications MVP, and Project Operations Specialist, here to share key insights on latest release wave updates from 2024 Release Wave Phase 2 to Release Wave 25 Phase 1. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat and we'll address them in Q&A sessions. Um, now let's get started. Kuldeep, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you for this warm welcome, Sanket. First questions first. Are you guys all able to see my screen pretty clear?
Yes.
Super. Able to see me as well? Super. Maybe. So, yes, as Sanket said, today we are going to be picking up some of the very key features from the latest release wave updates coming from project operations. So the latest wave that has come out is 2025 release wave 1. But I'm also going to be touching some of the key features which are demoable actually from the 2024 release wave 2 of project operations as well. So these features brings good insights to how project operations has brought in these key features that are required in the tool at this point of time and how the tool has been matured. All right. So before we begin, as Sanket has given a brief introduction, but again, a smaller one, the guy that you see in this photo is me, myself, Kuldeep Gupta. I'm CEO of proMX India. I handle the business of proMX in India entity. Well, I'm also the business applications MVP from specifically on the project operations, Power Apps, and the AI front since last 5 years. I have written my ebooks and my courses are online. So I take advantage of it, go through the out-of-the-box module, how it works and stuff like that to see how the tool can help you organize your project management needs. With that said, quickly moving to the agenda, you can see an enormous agenda, but don't worry, I'll not bore you enough. There are a lot of things, small things to show and tell you, and some are with the screen captures that'll give you an insight about how the feature looks like. So we have 7 topics that I'll try to cover, out of which the first 4 or 3 or 4 or 3 probably are from the ones where we are going to be covering from the 2024 release wave 2, which is closing the task directly from task plan, adding a custom column in project task, and project-based progress-based billing. The next 4 are actually in the 2025 release wave 1, which is user what-if analysis, add support for WBS and project templates, and import projects and MPP files into existing projects, import customizable task view details. With that said, as Sanket already said, if you have any questions, you can always drop it in the chat box. I will definitely try to address them to the best of my potentials if I can answer them. So let's start. So let's probably look at the close task directly from task plan, and I will try to bring up my screen. Now, when you hear about this feature, this is something that has come out in 2024 release wave 2. And what was happening is we could only close the tasks from the project operations only when the efforts were completely utilized. Meaning when the task, let's say, has an effort of 200 hours and when the entire time entries have been done or consumed by the 200 hours and all the time entries were approved by the project manager, task used to get marked completed automatically. But there was a need in the market demanding that there was a voice raised that we need to mark sometimes the tasks completed even before the entire hours are consumed for many various reasons that comes up. So project operations came up with feature, and now we have a possibility to mark the task as complete by the project manager at any given point of time. Now for doing that, Since you see my screen, I'm on the projects entity here, and I have opened up one of the projects, which is called as JSWPO implementation project, and I am on the task grids. You can see my WBS here, and the WBS has various tasks in that. You can see the efforts on the right hand side, duration, start, finish, and the basic things who've been assigned on the tasks and stuff like that. Now, if I want to mark this tasks directly as complete, I can go here, click on the ellipsis. You can see I have a mark as complete task. When you mark the task as complete, the task is striked out. That means the task is completed. And in the tracking tab, you can see, even though the hours are not completed, they will be marked as 100%. Waiting. So this feature helps the project manager not only to actually just wait till the hours are consumed. And the tracking also gives an information how much percentage of efforts have been consumed when the task is marked as 100%. So the remaining hours, let's say now I have just marked the task even if before it started. So let's say if the effort remainings are 100 hours, he can actually valuably use this 100 hours remaining on this task onto a task which is more complicated in future or something like that. So this gives a flexibility to the project managers. So this is one brilliant feature. And you see this percentage mark complete, it shows 100%. Well, when we do time entries and stuff, it's more brilliant to see the effort completed and the effort remaining and stuff like that. But at this point of time, this information itself, it's very valuable to see how the task can be directly marked as completed. Moving on to my next feature, add a custom column in project task. Again, so I know many of the project managers in the organization are so used to use MS Project that we have, it's like using Excel. So we are so used to adding columns in the Excel or let's say MS Project for our own use per se, that gives us flexibility to add remarks or anything that we want to add against each task in the MS Project. Similarly, since Project Online, or you call Project for the Web, is a subset of MS Project that they are trying to bring it up, they are keeping on adding one feature at a time in the Project for the Web, Project Online there. One of the features that they have added here is called as adding the custom column in the project tasks grid. And that gives kind of a feature which is there in the MS Project. Now let's see how you can do it. So I go back in the task grid. You have add column here on the top. When you click on add column here, you click on more. You see a lot of columns. These are custom columns that needs to be defined. We can put anything, remarks, draft hours, estimated, mandatory check items and stuff like that. And you can add them whichever you want, or let's say reason or something. And then you can just save it. It comes up on a task grid here. And then it's just that they should be already on the task entity that is to be added or table. Nowadays, you refer them as tables. So they should be added on the task table to be added onto the task grid. The only restriction is you cannot add more than 10 custom columns on a particular task grid here. That's the second feature that I would like to show. Moving on to the next feature, progress-based billing. So now where this comes from, the progress-based billing is actually coming from the feature when mainly for, let's say, project managers and invoicing team, this is very important, where there was an ask for a particular milestone. Let's say you have a milestone and worth 100,000 USDs and you wanted to invoice that to the customer in certain percentage, even before you wait for the milestone to completely achieve its date, to maintain for various reasons, maybe let's say to maintain the cash flow in the company. So you don't want to wait for, let's say, 3 months or 6 months for that milestone to hit. So basis on the conversation that you have with the customer, you might have an agreement that, let's say, I raise a 10% of the invoice from a particular milestone at this point of time. So This was not the feature before, but project operations has brought this in. And yes, it is available in the general availability since February 2025. So let's look at this feature, how it works. Okay, I'll just give a short demo of how this feature looks like. So for that, this feature actually looks good to be worked on the contract module, because all your invoicing and stuff are derived from the project contracts. I have created a contract here called a JSWPO implementation contract. For that, I go to the contract lines. I have a fixed price line created for, let's say, 257,000. I'll just go inside the line. Okay. You can see the invoice schedule here. I have some milestones that I've created here. And let's say from this milestone, I have already two invoices that have already been sent out. So total, the first was 10% because the milestone was 51,400. I have sent the first invoice for 5,140. The second one was 5%, 2,570. Now let's say, so total invoice percentage is 15%. And the total invoice that has gone out at this point of time from the entire milestone amount is 7,710. Now let's say out of this 85% is remaining and I want to send another 10%. So maybe there is a possibility that you add a percentage of the value that you want to add here, let's say 10%, 20%, or the invoice amount that you want to put down. Preferably, let's say to make it more better, I'll put, let's say 10 more percent I want to invoice at this point of time. So when you set 10%, it calculates behind the scenes and it shows you what will be your next invoice amount. Now, when you are done with this, I will save this record. And you have seen a grid here, status on the grid called as ready for invoicing. You have to hit that. You see this? Now it is saved here. Now you got to be going back to the contract to ready invoice this. And now I am on the contract. On the ribbon button, we see this invoice button. I'll click on create invoice. Wonderful. We see an invoice generated for 5,140. The only thing is there are certain validations you do. You in the invoicing you do put in the review and send. But now let's say I'm satisfied with this amount. The invoice will take care of the process they want to do. But I'll confirm this invoice at this point of time. It looks good. I'll confirm it. So the invoice status changes from draft to confirm. And secondly, what I'll do is I'll mark it as paid, just to go to the end of the process. Okay. So once the invoice is marked as paid, it will go as invoice paid. Now we'll go back to our contract and see what happens. I'm back in my contract lines, going to my invoice schedule. Wonderful. You only already see in the header that the invoice raise is 25%. The total invoice was 7,000. Now we added 5,000 more. So it is 12,850. And if I expand this a little bit, you see this is another one that we just did. 5,140 is customer invoices posted. You are still waiting for 38,550 amount of invoice to be realized in the organization. So you can keep on doing this as and when you have an agreement with the customer. So you now know that you have to only have 75% of the invoice. They have put brilliant validations as well. So let's say if I want to put 80% here, they will not allow me because the milestone already knows that it's only 75% that you can put. So it will throw you an error that, you know, you can't go beyond the percentage. So technically you're trying to raise 105% of the milestone amount. Now I'll try to go back and try to put, come on, a moment. Refresh it a little bit. And try to put 75% here. Sounds decent. It should generate the invoice amount. So the entire amount is now going to be realized. So again, I'm not going to be going through the entire flow because you just need to mark the status as ready for invoicing, go to the contact and create invoice. So I think 100% of the milestone should be achieved out of that. So that's one of the beautiful features they have brought in, which was not supposed to be there earlier. All right, let's move to the next feature. Okay, so at this juncture, we have covered 3 topics from 2024 release wave 2. Now we move to one of the very beautiful feature, which is called as using what if analysis on the estimates. And guys, I'm sorry, I have no environment to demo this because this is still some features which is under preview or general availability, and there's no environment to demo it, but I have tried to cover you via the screen captures and try to explain you how and where the feature will be beneficial. So you see the screen capture on the quotation screen. You see we are trying to create a quotation. When you try to create a quotation, there is most of the time the quotation team or the sales team feels that they want to play a little bit doing what if analysis on the quotations that they are preparing. So one of the examples of the what if analysis here is, let's say you have 6 or 5 resourcing units or different geographies that are involved in this particular quotation preparation. Fabricam India, US, UK, Switzerland, Netherlands. And they have a target of achieving 25% of the margin out of this. So what beautiful they have done is they have a slider which you can move up and down so as to play around with it. And as soon as you play up and down or slide left and right, you see your graph saying now with this, you have achieved your 25% of target. All right. Now this prices that are coming up over here are based on all your quotation lines that you built depending on various factors like roles, resourcing units, and the number of hours and the unit price. So each of the resourcing unit will have its own price as a pricing factor that comes up here, and you can play around with it. Not just it. Once you're done with it, that your target is achieved, you click on what if analysis button on the top. You get a nice graph here that gives you various kind of comparison mechanism, which is called as what if it's an aggressive optimization, what if it is a balanced growth plan, revenue optimizer, or cost reduction. Depending on what ifs you want to compare, you can select them from here. It will show you on the graph here on the top, and then you can compare. What if your aggressive optimization is there? The total cost of the project will be this much. Of course, you have all the cost price lists stored in the system. You will generate a total of this much amount of revenue with a gross margin of 87.50%, and the budget variance is 8%. What beautiful comparison it is for any quotation team to select what best can be taken up. Not just that, you have a star marked here which shows you which one is the recommended one by project operations depending on the best outcome that comes. All right. Even though the total revenue is coming more here, but then it will still show you which is the most recommended outcome. And it also gives you a tip to achieve your target to increase gross margin by 75%. Aggressive optimization, what if analysis is recommended. The financial adjustment made in the what if analysis will be applied to your own original ones. Applied, these changes cannot be reverted. So this is a star mark. You have to understand, once you apply to your original code, they cannot be reverted unless you do some things manually out of that. So you can accept and apply the code, or whichever you feel you want to select and apply, you can apply to that. This is one good feature that has come up. It is of course not in AI, a purely data oriented calculation that system is doing and recommending in the system. All right, so this is one of the features that I want to pick up. Moving next, adding support for the WBS and project templates. Guys, this is also one of the very good features that they have come up with. Now what they are doing here, you can see my screen. This is again on the project entity on the task grid. You can see when you add a task, you had a project, let's say a project manager is working on a particular project, which is pretty lengthy, let's say 2 years, 3 years. He had already worked on certain projects in the past of certain magnitude, and he feels like he want to reuse some parts or some project tasks from his previous projects. So project operation did had a mechanism in the past to do that. Earlier, they could either copy the project entirely and stuff like that. But now they have a feature when you can click on add tasks here. And when you click on add tasks, you have an option to select from which project you want to select certain tasks that you want to put here. And mind you guys, I'm telling you certain tasks. So it's not important that you have to entirely copy the entire projects. When you select the project, the entire WBS of that particular project appears here. You can select the tasks that you want out of here. And one more beautiful feature is you can see currently there are 3 tasks in the project. When you keep on adding the tasks from this project onto your new project that you're building, it will also tell you what is the bandwidth limit that you have still remained with, because the limit of project operations tasks has been increased from 1500 to 3000. So this is also one of the key features that comes up. And when you add and continue, your tasks will be added in the WBS. How beautiful. So this was one of the features that I want to pick up. The next one again is related to import functionality, importing projects in MPP files into existing projects. Meaning earlier there was a feature existing in in PSA, I remember, when you could actually create your projects in Dynamics 365 based on your MPP projects that you had. MPP projects, when I say, is MS projects directly. You had an add-in, you can add on the top, and then you can select, I want to add a project in the system. And that used to create a new project altogether with all the tasks inside. Well, that was gooder feature at that point of time, but a little bit tacky because you don't want to create all the time a new project, but leverage the feasibility that you want to add certain tasks from an MPP file or MS project file into an existing project, like we saw in the past feature that you could add certain tasks from that. So now they have a feasibility that you can select the particular project from the MPP on PSA, project operations, and select what all tasks from that MPP file you want in your project. So that feature is also something that is coming up. Now there was so I've made a note of what was the existing capabilities and what is a new feature. So you could actually set the calendar hours from the MPP, set the project manager, set schedule mode, from MPP, select the source file from MPP, select the source file as MPP. These were the existing capabilities. Now what's new is you can actually select the target project as well, where you want to copy these project details in project operations, and so choose also what to import from MPP, not just select everything. You can always select certain tasks that you want to import. So this is one good feature that has come up in project operations. Well, this is another one that has come up, is customizing the task details view. Now, there was a need from the audience that you actually wanted to customize your view of the tasks, where, earlier it was very tacky to go into each and every task and then see how it is organized. Project operations has come up with a feature when you actually double click on that. Earlier, there was no feasibility of doing double click. Now they have done what is, when you double click on a particular task, you have a nice quick create form that comes up for that particular task. This is pretty customizable, and you can organize this task in a way what you want to see in various sections and stuff like that on the right hand side as a quick create, and pretty customizable. So it gives a holistic view for the project manager to see what exactly he would like to see in a first glimpse from that task perspective. And not just that, he can add various tabs in that particular quick create form that opens up to get into more details and intricacies for that particular task. So this is also one of the features that they brought in called as customizable task details view. With that said, I think I have covered pretty much features that I wanted to show you, 7 features. Now let's look at a little bit of the availability schedule before we open up for the Q&A session for you guys. For the 2024 release, we have 2 features. Close tasks directly from project task plan. It is already in the general availability since March 2025, pretty latest. So you can actually upgrade your environments, update it, so you can have and use this feature. The second feature is add a custom column in the project task phase 1, which is again in the general availability from March 2025. Third one that we saw is progress-based billing is in the general availability since February 2025. So guys, go ahead, upgrade your environment, update it so as to avail the benefits of using these features inside. Moving ahead, some features from the 2025 release wave 1 that we saw is what if analysis on the estimates. So this feature is in the public preview since August, will be in public preview in August 2025. And they plan to put it in the GA, general availability, in October 2025. I'm desperately waiting for this, guys. This is one good one asked for by my customers a lot. And I don't know, I'm waiting for this to come in the environment to show them. The second one comes is add support for the WBS and project templates. It's in the public preview coming up in September 2025, and the general availability is going to be in the March 2026 next year. You will be able to customize the tasks details view via the public preview in September 2025, and the general availability will be in the March 2026 next year, as similar to this. And the last one is importing projects from the MPP to existing projects is going to be in the August 2025 in public preview, and general availability in the October 2025. With that said, I open up for Q&A, guys, and would be very happy to answer your questions here.
Thank you, Kuldeep. That was a great session. And thank you for the information that you have provided regarding the latest waves. For now, as we don't have any questions in chat, I would like to have some questions for you. And here's the question number 1. What's the one upgrade no organization can afford to ignore?
Well, that's a pretty good question, I would say. I showed you a lot of features that you could actually see today. A lot of features that gives you, first of all, handiness to use the tool cannot be ignored at this point of time. And I always harp on this feature, which is called as what if analysis, is one of the favorite features that I have been asked by a lot of customers, is one of the features. If you ask me to rate one of them, is this one. And probably if you go down to the second one is importing the project tasks from the MPP is also one of the great ones that have been asked by the customers, because the project managers are so used to use this MPP files. I think they want to well collaborate with the MPPs through project operations and get the seamless feeling of still working in a collaborative way.
Great.
I hope that answers, Sanket.
Yes, of course.
Mm.
So as you know, there's AI going a lot nowadays, and now it's a time for a question about AI. So let me ask you something about Copilot. And the question is, how does AI influence the focus on Dynamics 365 for project operations?
Wonderful question. I think, as we all know, Copilot has become a buzzword in the Microsoft ecosystem, right? Everyone talks about Copilot or AI and stuff like that. There are a lot of features that have been coming up with Microsoft's project operations tools. And with respect to inbuilt project operations tool, there are 4 or 5 features that Microsoft has come up with in project operations as well. Since you just asked this question, let me surface my mind and see. I think the first one that comes up to my mind is where you can create a project tasks based on small description that you write inside. and Copilot automatically generates the project plan for you based on the descriptions, your project name, and the past history of certain tasks that you've already created in the environment. It'll create tasks for you. Um, the second feature that I could recollect is one of the very good ones is suggesting of the resources. When you are trying to staff your people on the project, I think there is a need where you want to where the staffing team needs help in terms of recommending a person based on the type of tasks they are working on. They want to staff people on based on the skills or ratings, experience, blah blah blah, all those criterias. So the system goes and checks based on their availability, skills, everything, and gives you a rating as well as to which one is the best fit at this point of time. So it's then becomes so easy for the staffing team to select which resource to work on and staff upon. I think there are more features that have come in at this point of time that is not on the top of my head, but yeah, it is really wonderful that they are bringing about a lot of Copilot features inside to help the tool become beautiful. More to add is, it just doesn't stop here. What we can do more is with the Copilot Studio. If some customer has a use case, a specific scenario that is not by default coming in project operations by the team or product team, they can build some tools on top to enhance the beauty of how AI can help them solve some of the use cases that are specific to certain organizations. So we can always leverage Copilot Studio in that perspective.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So that's a great answer. Like seriously, it is very helpful for the audience. With the task, there comes challenges, and I have some challenging questions for you, which are coming up right now. One question is, what are common difficulties implementing Dynamic 365 project operations?
Okay, that's wonderful a question. I think I often hear this, and a lot of times there are a couple of challenges. There are many, maybe, or maybe I would say uh, there is one answer to many problem can be put in like this. Okay, the this simple form to put in is a lot of times the customer needs versus what comes out as an outcome to be understood by the implementation partner is of the deepest importance at this point of time. That is one of the major challenge the world faces. For that, you need to have a very deep knowledge of how project operations works versus how you can fit the customer use cases or scenarios into the project operations tool and still get them the required ROI to work beautifully is one of the major challenges. And it again requires deep expertise on the tool. The second major challenge I would call out would be the change management. We all know project operations is not a very easy tool. It has enormous functionalities to cater to, but when it is implemented, to get it adapted in the ecosystem where you implemented it, it becomes really challenging. So change management, I would call out, would be the second most difficult thing or challenging thing to implement project operations at this point of time. And let me rest my case here, otherwise I'll keep on speaking about it till the end.
Okay. So the next question, I'll take a question from a chat which we have from Mr. Abhin Kumar. He
Yeah.
says, what's one best use case from project's perspective?
Uh, Let me read this question. What's the best case
Mm-hmm.
from the
Best
project's
use
perspective?
case. Use case,
Best use
yes.
case from the project. So, all right. So, what if analysis, if you've seen it is on the quotation team for the sales team when they prepare the quotation. Um, for them to decide when you staff people from different org units and you play around with that. Maybe if I have chance to go back there and show you still, let me quickly go back. I don't want to take much time. What if analysis is here. You see, where you have a lot of permutation and combinations to play around, that when you staff from which geography and still able to achieve the target is one of the best use cases. that can be achieved. It is not a direct impact or a benefit to the project manager or execution team, but for the quotation team, it is a direct benefit. I hope that answers. I'm not sure if these guys are unmuted, Sanket. Um,
No, these guys are not unmuted.
I
So
don't know if Abhin, I am able to answer your questions, but yeah, thank you.
that's answer. We got a
That's
reply.
great. Mhm.
Yeah. So we have another question with regards to time zone. So what is valid approach to cover project team members in different time zones?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I think project operations has come a long way now to somewhere give you a resolution of how to cater to different time zones. Uh, it was one of the major issues. So they are now coming up with various time zone agnostic fields on the project plan. So let's say when you are on the project tasks, I don't know if I have a task opened here, but on the task, your start and finish will be time zone agnostic, and they are gonna be configured based on the user who is logging in and which time zone he is coming from. They will be recorded on the basis of that particular time zone. Earlier, it used to be happening that they used to store these details with respect to GMT. They used to convert this time zone, time data or start date time into GMT time zone and then record it in the system in the table behind. But now they will record it as is based on what the user, where the user is logging in from. So when you do a data migration or any kind of this activities, you don't need to do these kind of migrations enough behind the scenes from GMT perspective, but they will be stored live as it is. So it has a direct impact.
Great.
So this is one of the very key features they have started to bring in, and there will be more that they might come up with in the future.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Uh, the last and final question of the day will be, how will the latest updates redefine project execution strategies?
Again, so slightly something related to again what I showed. So all these key features empower the tool to be more usable. They give you a handy thing enough for the project managers per se or the quotation team per se to function beautifully. Marking of the task, bringing the files from MPP inside directly, copying some tasks from another projects, doing what if analysis. These features definitely help the project manager to take beautiful decisions. In fact, some of the very beautiful copilot features also I spoke about will definitely bring in more perspective and throttle the power of how project operations can help the organization do best.
Great. So that was the last question for the day. And if there are any other questions, please you can put it in the chat. We can wait for 1 minute or 2 minutes. We are excited and happy to answer your questions. Thank you, Kuldeep, for that very insightful and informative webinar on latest updates. And okay, there's something in the chat. Keep uploading these content proMX team. Thank you for the session. Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Abhin.
Abhin.
Okay, so that comes to the end. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found today's session valuable. If you have any further questions, reach out to our speaker. You will get all the information in the chat. Also, you can keep in touch with us with our newsletter, which I'll be dropping in the chat as well. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Ciao.